Welcome, DeFi Degens, to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and doing a bit of an unscheduled episode right now. I'm starting to see a lot of people wondering, what do I do with my DeFi if the markets are pumping or about to go parabolic? And that's what we're here to answer. And it's going to be different for everybody. And it's important to understand, kind of what your goals are, what your risk tolerance is, just what it is that you're trying to accomplish with DeFi. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. I want to give a quick shout out to my brothers over at Discover Crypto, Blockchain Basement, and BitLab Academy. Drew, of course, at the Blockchain Basement, and TJ, DZ, and Josh over there at Discover Crypto, and of course Kelly Kellum over at BitLab Academy. So you can see, I just want to share real quick. If you're not following us on YouTube, DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, would love for you to follow us. And if you're not sure about following us, at least come over here and watch us on YouTube so you can join into the chat. I love answering questions. If you have any questions about DeFi or crypto in general, I never claim to be, an all-knowing oracle when it comes to these things, but I have been studying this for the past 4 years, 5 years. I'm retired, retired military, and I spend a good 8 to 10 hours a day, just learning about DeFi and crypto. Mostly I'm sharing my journey and, my mistakes, my successes, and our community is, I learn from our community every day, and I'm sure they learn from me. And so, talking about our community is, you can find me, of course, on X, Veteran, the number four crypto. Follow us there. I put out a lot of really good alpha stuff that I find, on X, and articles, things like that that have to do with DeFi, the regulation that's going on right now, and how that potentially is going to affect crypto in general and DeFi. And then, of course, our Discord. It is so important in crypto and in DeFi to have a reliable source of information, because there is no shortage of people in the cryptoverse, on X and other social platforms that will try to take advantage of your emotions and your desire to get rich, and they'll pump bad information out there to get people to FOMO in so they can sell their bags. They're using you for exit liquidity. So if you get a chance, please, join the Discord. Josh, Drew, and Kelly are always in there giving, their exact entry and exit points. If you're into technical analysis, doing day trading, they teach it in there. I'm always in there and free to answer questions when it comes to DeFi, liquidity pools, lending, borrowing, all of those sorts of things. So again, really good resource. Hey, what up, Jay? Hey, what up, Victor? Yeah, this is a little bit of an unscheduled deal. So I just saw that in the Discord, we had some people that were asking, crypto is starting to pump. Should we stay in our DeFi positions and keep earning, or should we get out so that we can take advantage of the full pump of the market? Let's get into it. So this is what I'm doing. First and foremost, as always, I check DeFi Llama. What is going on with the Llama? So you can see, the total value locked, or TVL, in DeFi right now. It's starting to curve up. You can see here, we've been almost flat. I mean, this is almost, no ripples at all. And then all of a sudden we're starting to curve up. Same thing with the volume, all the DEXs, all the decentralized exchanges. They are starting to curve up as well. So we're starting to get more interest. As the markets start to pump, we're going to get more volume. And with more volume, there's going to be more fees. So this brings us to our question. Do we pull out of our DeFi positions? And of course, all of them are going to be different, but do we pull out of our DeFi positions to ensure that we get full price appreciation on our bags. So let's break it down. So you have different DeFi positions you can be in. You have lending and borrowing, you have staking, you have full range liquidity pools, you have ranged liquidity pools. What else do we got? Let me look at my sheet here. And then you have things like Mamo, where it's not quite staking. It's more of just like an account that you earn yield on. So, it's not a pool. You're still hodling your full bag. It's not, DCAing you in and out of, two separate assets. So there's a lot of different types of DeFi. So it's going to be different for each one of them. And then on top of that, it's going to depend on what your goals are. Are you in these DeFi positions just because you enjoy the residual income that it gives you, every week or every month that you can cash out and use as dry powder? And you have your separate moon bags. You have your separate hodl bags of those assets that you plan on cashing out of, once the markets pump. So you have two separate, your DeFi bags that you're earning on and your hodl bags that you plan on getting full price appreciation. Me personally, that's what I'm doing, is I want to make sure that at least on a portion of my bags that I'm getting full price appreciation. But then I want to keep some in my DeFi positions because I want to ensure that I'm still earning yield and I'm still getting most of the price appreciation, usually around 70%, give or take, depending on the type of pool you're in, and your range, and then if it's a crypto pair or a stable crypto pair, there's a lot of different variables, and I won't get that granular. Me personally, what I'm doing, and again, I am not an expert. This is just what I'm doing. I'm not telling you this is what you should do. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I am exiting some of my positions, and I'll show those here in a second. I am keeping some of my stuff in those in the positions that I'm in because, yes, we are starting to pump. Are we going to continue to pump? Are we in the banana zone, where everything's going to go parabolic? I don't know. I'm not a chart guy. Even the people I know that are chart guys, they feel like alt season is upon us, but they're not sure, and if you ask one person, they're going to say yes. If you ask another, they're going to say no. I don't like to guess. I don't like using emotion. So this takes emotion out of it. Have some in DeFi where you're still earning and you're scratching that itch. Have some in hodl bags to where if it pumps, you can just sit back and smile. All your bases are covered. You don't have to worry about it. You're going to make money. As long as the projects you picked, as long as you did your research, looked into the fundamentals, and those fundamentals were solid, and they're good, solid projects, even some that aren't, historically make people money. So, that's the short answer. So let's get a little more granular with it. All right. So, of course, RWA.XYZ. Token, as always, up and to the right. You want to talk banana zone. This private credit. I need to learn more about whatever private credit is because it is just a massive, massive part of the RWA, ecosystem right now, and has been since the very fucking beginning. You look back here, and it's just boom, 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 just up, 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 and to the right. You got commodities. If you took out, this private credit and was able to zoom in on this, you would see, commodities are growing. Gold, silver, oil, actually Bitcoin is considered a commodity. It's already tokenized. Corporate bonds, US Treasury debt is the second one. stocks, is starting to creep up. A lot of that had to do with regulation. That's what we've been dealing with this week. Is you have the Stablecoin Act, which was the Genius Act, and that's going to Trump's desk for his signature. Done and done. There is nothing that he said. Everything he said is he's going to sign it. That was the crux. That was the tipping point. Once stablecoin legislation is in place and signed into law, that is going to allow DeFi, RWAs, crypto, all of those sorts of things to become part of the mainstream. Banks, institutions, all of that. JP Morgan Chase can have their own stable coin as long as it's backed 1-to-1 with the US dollar or US treasuries. It has to be backed 1-to-1. So, that is important to understand. USDC knew this, that they're already in compliance with that. They've been in the same room with the legislators while they were drafting this. Tether, same thing. Supposedly, they are one of the largest holders of U.S. treasuries. So all of this is coming together in the perfect storm to release all of the liquidity that these institutions and banks have and governments have that allow them. Drew over at Blockchain Basement earlier today was talking about how, what was it he was saying? Oh, 401ks. That I guess now 401ks are going to be allowed to invest in Bitcoin and crypto. We are at the very beginning. Those of us that are educating ourselves right now and investing right now are the early adopters. The rest of retail is not here yet. The majority of institutions are not here yet. And in some cases, like in Bitcoin's case, a lot of the supply that they've been relying on for OTC or over the counter purchases that don't move the price is starting to dry up. There's about to be a market crunch on a lot of these projects because they've been buying OTC so that they didn't pump the markets so that they can keep buying at cheap prices. Once everyone has bought up whatever is available for OTC, they're going to have to go to the open market. They're going to have to, if they want Ondo, if they want Plume, if they want Chainlink, if they want any of these, they're going to be part of the new financial system. They're going to have to go to the open market. And that's where we're going to get the crunch. That is when the prices are going to pump. That is when you're going to see the FOMO set in. Retail, your uncle and your aunt, your grandma, your grandpa that are going to start texting you and asking you, so what's this crypto stuff? Why is it all over the news? I know you mentioned this, before. What is it and how can I get involved with it? I've already had it happen. I have, two of my brothers that are involved in crypto that I got them involved in DeFi. My lady, she's involved in DeFi and crypto now. And I didn't push it on any of them. It's just, they just, saw me doing it, listened to me doing it. And, and they heard it enough, around in their circles to where finally they were just like, all right, I need to get involved in this. And they're doing great. So let's keep going with this conversation. Let me see what the markets are doing real quick. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. It definitely helps guide the conversation. All right, so we flattened out a little bit, looking good. All right, so this is a good portion of my DeFi positions. So of course I have my arrow locks. Those are going to stay locked. I have no choice on that one, and I'm perfectly fine with that. That's where I want. That's exactly where I want that arrow. I started out with $2,500. I almost have 10 grand now. As soon as arrow goes back up to $2, and above, I'm gonna have $20,000 in my lock. Just earn an arrow, just earning free arrow for the next 3.5 years. It's just gonna be earning free arrow. And once it comes time to unlock that baby, my guess is a minimum of $10 per arrow. And I'm going to be sitting pretty. And it actually might end up being enough that I can get my little 6-seater Cirrus jet, so I can start jet setting around. But anyway, Uniswap, my full range pool in Uniswap, I'm going to leave it. I was going to take it out earlier today, but I'm going to leave it. It's the only plume that I have on ETH mainnet anymore. I moved the rest of it over to Plume mainnet. So Royco is one of the platforms that's on Plume. It's only $76. It was just a little bit of dust I threw in there to just to test out the platform. I'm really liking what they're doing. They're doing tokenized assets, but for the most part, it's single digit APRs and stuff like that. So it might be something that I DCA into after I take profits, and then start deploying stable coins, all the stable coins that as I take profits in stables, I might start putting some of that into some of those, just so I can earn that steady income, because it's lower APRs, but it's a lot less volatile. So it's reliable income. Rooster, again on Plume, keeping that there. It is auto ranged, so it automatically adjusts. It automatically does a lot of stuff, and it's earning really well. And so I'm just harvesting, that yield in the Plume, where I'm getting full price appreciation anyway. So I'm earning about $7-8, on the 2,000 that I have in there. I'm earning about $7-8 a day, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I mean, that's, $280-ish a month that I'm making. 213 has it right there. 213 bucks a month that I'm just stacking and waiting for the price of Plume to pump. So I'm totally good with that. Beefy, I closed out my KTA position because it was in the positive. I had made a nice profit on that position, so I cashed that out fully into KTA, so that when KTA starts to pump, when their mainnet goes live, I can get full price appreciation on that, because that is ultimately why I'm here. Is I want to make money, and I can later on, I can DCA back into KTA, after I sell it, after it pumps, and wait for it to pull back. Staying in my AVAX position, I'm a little bit down on that one, even though I've been compounding into it. I got into it and right before everything dumped, so I'm still recovering. So I'm going to leave that there for now. The way that my pool is sitting, I went in with, I think it was like 11 or 12 AVAX, and now it's down to like 7 or something like that. It's mostly in USDC. So I'm going to wait for that to recover a bit. Same with my Sonic position, still down a little bit, earning really well, both of them earning really good APY. And I'm just going to go ahead and let them chill. I have plenty of AVAX on the side in a hodl bag. Sonic, bullish on it, but not super bullish. So whatever. This one on VFAT. This is one of my full range arrow pools. I cashed out on that. It's sitting fully in arrow in my wallet, and I'm going to use that, to get my full price appreciation on arrow. I still see a ton of I still see a ton of upside to arrow this bull cycle, and I want to make sure that I can take advantage of that. So that one I actually cashed out of. My 2 ranged KTA or KETA wrapped ETH positions are both out of range. Let me go to those real quick. Let me drink my workout. All right. It's slowly pulling that up. All right. So you can see here is my 2 KETA positions. One of them is just out of range. And the reason it's out of range is ETH has been pumping a bunch. And KETA isn't keeping up. This is a huge difference when you're deciding what pools that you want to stay in for when markets are volatile, when they're pumping or when they're dumping. For you to stay into range, it doesn't matter when it's a crypto to crypto pair. It doesn't matter as long as both are moving in a correlated fashion. What that means is if they're both appreciating in value at the same rate, not the same dollar value, the same rate. So if wrapped ETH and KTA are both going up 10% at a time, they're correlated. They're going to stay in range. But ETH has been pumping and KTA has actually gone down a little bit or stayed the same. So as they diverge, it pulls you out of range. So as they were diverging, it was selling off the ETH as it pumped into KTA. So now on both of my positions, I'm all in on KTA. And the amount of KTA that I hold in those positions is locked. Even if KTA keeps going down, I retain the same amount of KTA in this case. So basically, I'm hodling already. I'm not going to exit these positions and lock in losses. I'm going to hodl those because that's basically what I'm doing right now. And once ETH calms down a little bit and KTA starts pumping to catch up, that will suck me back in. It will suck me. It will suck me back into range. So that is what is important to understand how these liquidity pools work. A stable crypto pair is different than a crypto pair or a stable pair. It's very important to understand the mechanics of these pools when deciding what you're going to do during what part of the crypto cycle. When's KTA's plan to launch mainnet? Good question, Rico. Actually, you know what? Let's go look because I do not know. All right. Let's see. Kita Network's mainnet launch has been discussed. The most consistent information is July of 2025. So, pretty much everything that I'm seeing is supposed to be sometime this summer. Most of the information is hinting at here in July. Um, yeah, that's what it's saying. There's a post on X by Kita Network on July 7th. It shared an updated roadmap noting that 7 items need completion before mainnet goes public, indicating they are getting close but not specifying an exact date. So that was about 11 days ago. So, coming up on 2 weeks ago, that there was a couple of things on their roadmap, their checklist that needed to be done before they go live. I am very bullish on Kita. We did a deep dive on it. If it's something that you're curious about, on our YouTube channel, I'll show you where that's at. So down here, if you go to past live streams, click on it because it was a while ago. We've been tracking this for a minute, and you scroll back. We right here, I did the stress test. I live streamed the stress test where they hit, I believe it was 14 or 15 million transactions per second. Blows every other. If they can actually do that, they blow every other blockchain out of the, well, it's not a blockchain. It's a DAG. But they blow everybody else out of the water as far as speed. One of Google's founders is one of the major backers for Kita. So there's a lot of bullish stuff that is going on with Kita. I suggest you stay away from the Discord. They've a bunch of fucking weirdos in there. I went in there before we did all these deep dives and was trying to ask them. If you're one of the ones in there, I don't mean all of you, but I went in there and was trying to ask them if any of them had any comments, or if they knew anybody that was part of the team that wanted to give us some input before we went live about their project. And they were just a bunch of jackoffs. Like a bunch of them were more worried about the fact that I was bald than that I was about to do a live stream, talking about their project. I'm just like, okay, I guess, I'll just go with, what the information I'm able to find online. So it was fucking stupid. Yeah. Yeah. Discord is furries and feet pics. Absolutely. So anyway, I did that stress test. We did a Kita deep dive on the project itself and how you can earn with it. So the liquidity pools that I'm in, I mean, we were earning thousands of percent there for a while. When Kita was pumping, we were earning thousands of percent APY when it was pumping. And so that's kind of one of the reasons, back to my original point, why I'm keeping it there. Actually, let's go to this one. That's why I'm keeping it there. Because, I mean, if you look, right now, if in range, I'd be making 241%, which, isn't a lot compared to a couple thousand, but 241% is huge. And that's on a 54% range. If I go to my 24% range, it goes up to 526%. Because as you all know out there, the narrower the range on your DeFi position, on your range position, the more APY you can earn. So, the wider the range, the more you're going to stay in range. And, the longer period of time that you're going to earn yield. The narrower the range, the more APR, but the more likely, especially in volatile markets, that you're going to go out of range and not be earning. So it doesn't matter if you're earning 5,000% APY if you're always going out of range. If you're out of range 80% of the time, I would rather make 500% or 1,000% and be in range the whole time. These are the questions you need to ask yourself. And we're in a very volatile market right now. And if we start really taking off and pumping, a ranged position might not be a good idea. Because you're losing out on price appreciation, on a good portion of price appreciation, around, good rule of thumb, 30%. You're going to get about 70% of the price appreciation. And this is just a total rough, don't quote me on it, but that's about what you're going to get. So you're missing out on 30% of the total price appreciation. And you're only earning, even if it's a couple, thousand APY, is it going to make up for that 30%? That's what you need to ask yourself, is do you want to risk that? So when these KTA positions, when KTA pumps and it goes out the other side of my range, I'm going to be pulling them out. And, or even I might, when they hit the price or the value, entered those positions, and that's why I track everything. If you're not in our Discord, join our Discord. I offer these sheets, my tracking sheet here, I offer it for free. Doesn't cost you anything. Download it. You can track your bull run portfolio, your hodl bags. You can track your DeFi portfolio. You can create your ladder out strategy, all of it, all on one sheet, been built out for you. All you got to do is just fill it in. It has all the formulas in it that will tell you how many tokens to sell, all the blue shaded areas. Those auto populate. You just put in how many tokens you have of what project, what percent you want to sell, and at what price point you want to sell. It will tell you how many tokens you need to sell, what it will be worth at that time, and it will give you a nice, pretty total if you hit all your take profit points. But let's see. Lost my train of thought. Sorry. Oh, my KTA positions. So the reason I track everything is you can see I have my invested and the current value. So my KTA positions, that range positions that are in DFAT, this one I entered at 1,357 because of how well it's been earning. Even though it's way down, I still have 1,675. This one I'm still in the positive. My P&L, my profit and loss, I'm in the positive. By roughly $325. That one I could exit right now, actually. But I think I'm going to wait because, but once it goes out the other side of my range, I'll probably just put it directly into just nothing but KTA in preparation for selling it, as I'm DCAing out. This one here, this one is a different, different ball of wax. I have $2,481 in this one because I got into this one when KTA was pumping, and it's way out of range. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this one is, as you can see over here, it's way out of fucking range. I mean, I need KTA to pump a bunch before it gets back up here to where I'm at my break even. So that one, I'm definitely not cashing out. If I close out that position, I'm basically locking out, locking in $900 of losses. So I'm not going to do that. Again, I'm hodling right now. You can see I have 1,913 KTA. It's basically a hodl bag. I believe in the project. It's not hurting me at all just to leave it sitting there. I could be emotional and I could cash out and try to jump into something that's pumping right now. But that's how you get wrecked. If you're jumping from something that's not pumping to something that's pumping, and then that pulls back, so you panic, so you jump into something else that's pumping, you're just constantly being somebody else's exit liquidity. You don't want that. You want to make other people your exit liquidity. The people that didn't get into crypto and haven't been sitting here for 3-4 years in the bear market, doing their research, investing their money, taking the risk. The people that didn't pay their dues, they can buy your bags, and they can hold, they can hodl and learn and pay their dues and make their money. You're here when it matters, and you paid your dues. There's nothing wrong with it. That's how investing works. There's a cost to the education, to learning about crypto. I mean, it sounds brutal, but that's the way it is. When you're investing in a meme coin, it's a lot more brutal because there's no recourse for them. In a meme coin, once that thing gets rug pulled, they're just done. They can't hodl that and hope it comes back. There's very few cases on a meme coin. Doge, Bonk, a little bit, Pepe, Coins Chick has a really good meme coin, but there's very few out there that you can hold through a bear market and they might bounce back the next bull market. So it's important to understand these markets. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to hit the chat up. So, Victor, appreciate you, brother. I appreciate all your comments and all your questions in the Discord. Jay, as always, brother, appreciate you. Rico answered that question. Stepdad. Yeah, furries and feet pics. Absolutely. What do we got? Fibonaccios. Haven't seen that name before. Welcome, brother. Does Mamo earn full price appreciation while deposited? Yes, it does. Actually, you know what? Let's go check out Mamo. This is one that we just did a deep dive on. Right before it had pumped a little bit, but right before it really pumped, we did our deep dive on it, and I got into it live on the show. And my co host, Jeff, opened an account live on the show. So connecting wallet. All right. So this is Mamo. So I put about 15 bucks in USDC in here, just to, you know what? Let's add some more. So I got another 17 bucks. Let's deposit that, because this 8% that I'm earning actually gets me more Mamo. So let's go ahead and deposit that, just so you guys get a little bit of action. And I'll get a message on Telegram from the AI. All right. And there we go. And then Telegram just messaged me. I'll see if I can show you. So yeah, you can see Mamo freaking messaged me and say, "Got it, Mike. Your deposit of $17.18 is in and now is working quietly in the background." So now, all of my earnings will just go into my Mamo account. So you can see down here, I have 17,344. Let me see my Mamo. Yep, it is 100% exactly what I should have. And so far, I've earned $4.60 in Mamo. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it's 35 Mamo. If Mamo goes to $1, that's $35. If it goes to $2, that's $70. This is just stacking and just compounding 24/7, 365 automatically at a rate of about 22%. It's just stacking into my account, and it fully liquid. If Mamo pumps and goes to 10, 20, $30, because it's a super low market cap. Let's actually go look and see where Mamo's at right now. So Mamo is at, by market cap, it's at 3,294. In my opinion, Mamo is an amazing buy right now. Mamo was added to Coinbase's new base app that is going to be their all-in-one social media, DeFi wallet, all of it. You're going to have access to tokenized assets like tokenized stocks and bonds and treasuries, anything RWA. It's going to be their all-in-one app. They just announced it a couple of days ago. It hasn't gone fully live yet. There's a couple people that got into the early launch, but Mamo is part of that. And it is the only base layer AI built on virtuals that is a part of that new base app, so far. And I honestly, in my opinion, I think that they're going to make Mamo, the AI, part of the, kind of DeFi customer service, because again, I can go on Telegram. Like I can go on Telegram right now and I can ask Mamo anything 24/7, 365. I can say, now that I deposited more USDC, how will it affect my Mamo growth? So let's see what it says. It's thinking about it. He's typing. All right. So it says depositing USDC in Mamo. Um, Depositing more USDC may increase your Mamo growth as it's allocated across lending platforms, Morpho, Moonwell, and Aerodrome, earning interest that becomes your earnings. The current growth rate is 7.17%. So basically, all of the yield that I earn for my USDC deposits actually gets rolled into buying more Mamo. So I'm always DCAing into Mamo based off of my Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin deposit. I have like $3.21 in Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin right now. And it only earns just shy of 1%. So nothing too stellar. I mean, I'm not saying go throw all your Bitcoin in here by any stretch. There's better places you can earn on Bitcoin. But 8% on USDC isn't bad. I mean, I know places that you can get 10%, 15% on stables that I'll probably be leveraging a lot more into. But this is a really good place to put some of your stables, and while you're waiting for things to pump, you're earning a bit of dry powder. And at the same time, again, this APY is DCAing because I toggled this switch. You can see if I toggle it off, it says send my Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin to my Bitcoin account. Mamo and virtual compound into more Mamo. Now, if I have it toggled on, so I earn Mamo, my Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin and virtual all auto convert and compound into more Mamo. The reason I did that is because I'm buying Mamo at this super cheap price. And it's also earning me 22%. So it's earning better, and I'm buying an asset at a depreciated price. So let's take a look at something. Let's do a little bit of what if. So market cap of. Here, let's go to Google. All right. So market cap of. All right. So in the chat, tell me some projects that are not even in the top 50. Give me some projects that are like, number 51 or lower on market cap. What do you got for me? Talk to me, people. Give me a project. Come on, somebody. Don't be shy. Don't make me go look. Quant. Thank you. Thank you, Nicholas. All right. So let's go over here. QNT. All right. I don't think. Oh, here. Let's do this. All right. So that's a 38x. So that would be a $5 Mamo. So you're looking at a 38x just if it gets to the price of quant. And again, this project is part of Coinbase's app. There's a lot going on with this. Let's see. Stacks, STX. Let's see what happens. That's a 30x. That would be a $4 Mamo. Again, Mamo right now is 13 cents. That's that's a nice move. 30x, I'll take that all day long. What else we got? Giza. Yeah, we just did a deep dive on Giza. I'm I'm bullish on that one too. Didn't find that one. ENA. Really? Doesn't show ENA. All right. All right, cool. Let's see what other questions we got here. So Fibonaccios, we got you. Seems like most DeFi plays are down from people exiting pools and just holding to sell. Potentially, yeah. My stepdad, Uniswap, just recently, we were talking in the Discord. It wasn't showing my positions. It wouldn't pull up my positions, and but and that could be a lot of traffic. It could be a lot of people wanting to pull their liquidity so they can get full price appreciation. Again, it just depends on what it is that you're trying to do. I'm not a 100% convinced that we're in that parabolic stage yet. I could be wrong, but again, I'm hedging my bets. Some of my assets are in my wallet. Some of my assets are in DeFi positions. I'm covering all my bases. Am I going to get, as much money as I, could either way? No, but I'm going to make sure that I get the best of both worlds. Again, my goals. This is what you need to ask yourself. What are your financial goals and what is your risk tolerance? My risk tolerance is very high, but my financial goals are I want an overall 10x on my portfolio. I have about $60,000, $70,000 in my portfolio. If I can 10x it, that's $700,000. My goal is $500,000. My actual goal. Like if I hit $5,000, most of my portfolio is going to be sold off. Because with $500,000, even making 10%, even if I was just in stables and I put that in DeFi and was making 15%. I'm not a math whiz. I have an old brain. Hold on. I should know this as many times as I've done this. 500,000 times 0.15. That's $75,000 a month. Or sorry, a year. I wish a month. $75,000 a year of free money without cashing out my 500,000. And I know of two places right now at the top of my head. One of them is on Plume Mainnet, where I can make 15% on PUSD. PUSD is Plume stablecoin. It is backed 1-to-1 in compliance with the new U.S. regulation from the Genius Act. Part of that regulation said that stablecoins, to be U.S. compliant, had to be backed 1-to-1 with the U.S. dollar or a U.S. dollar equivalent. USDC is what Plume is using to back their stablecoin. USDC is a U.S. company that has been part of the legislative process. They already are in compliance because they've been getting ready for this. So by default, Plume is compliant because they are backing with something that is the equivalent of a US dollar 1-to-1. Make sense? So I know of a place on Plume, the Plume portal, where I can stake my stables and earn 15%. So I'll be earning $75,000 a year at a minimum. That's almost no risk. That's basically a high interest bank account. And so that 75,000, now divide that by 12, that's $6,250 a month that I can add to my retirement, my military retirement. So what could you do with $6,250? Of course, you have taxes and all that. But I can just keep stacking that or using that as dry powder to start DCAing as the market pulls back. When we start getting towards the bottom, that might take a year. So I'd have $575,000 instead of just the $500,000 if I didn't spend any of it to DCA and build a new DeFi portfolio without touching that principal. So I would be earning 15% on 575,000 instead of just 500,000. So 575,000 times 0.15, instead of 75,000 a year, now I'd be making $86,250 a year. So you see where I'm going with this? And with that, now divide that by 12. Now that's $7,187 a month of free dry powder, other people's money that I can use to start DCAing into Bitcoin, into whatever projects that I'm bullish on. That is the beauty of compounding yield. That is the beauty of DeFi. It's not just buy, hold your bags, and hope your bags go up. It's buy, hold your bags, earn free crypto, free tokens to stack more in your bags, wait for what we're experiencing right now or what's about to happen potentially, and the markets pump, and then you can DCA or ladder out, using our free ladder out strategy. And again, if I hit all of my take profit points on, the projects that I hold right now, I'll have $600,000. I'm probably not going to hit all my points. I understand that. That's why I'll probably end up with around 400,000 or 500,000. And that's not even 10xing my portfolio. And some of the stuff that I hold, like Arrow, DAG is, Ondo's a little higher on the market, by market cap. Plume is way down there, but doing amazing things. Link is up, higher in the market caps. Same with AVAX. KTA super low. I haven't added Mamo in here yet, which I need to do now that I think of it. So having a good balanced portfolio to where, some of them I might see a 4x or a 5x, and some of them I might see a 30x or a 40x. As long as the average that I get is around 10x, I'm balling. I'm going to be sitting pretty because everything that I take out, all the profits I take is going to be into stables. Again, everything that I have on Plume mainnet right now is going into PUSD. Everything that comes out in, on ETH, ETH mainnet, or that I'm just, holding in my bags, is all going to be in USDC and USDT. Those are the ones that I trust. Those are the ones that, from what I'm seeing, are going to be compliant with US regulations. And then, I'll have that value locked in. I'll pay my capital gains like a good little boy, because that's what you got to do, unless you want to go to prison and have them, seize all your assets. And then I'm gonna sit back, and I'm just gonna collect, 10 to 15% APY. Let my stable coins build. Probably take me and my lady on a nice little trip. Maybe make some improvements to the property, and just wait. Wait for the pullback. If a pullback doesn't come, all right, I'm making 75 grand a year off of just sitting back, and I'll start DCAing into projects. Big pullback, small pullback, doesn't matter. Some of my bags, I'll probably long-term hold about 10% of them. You can see on my Casper, there's 10% that I didn't account for that I plan on long-term holding. DAG, same thing. Arrow, a good portion of my Arrow bags are in locks. I don't have a choice on that. I'm long-term holding those till next bull cycle. Ondo, 10%. Plume, 10%. Link, I'm hodling 10%. I'm not exiting all my positions in case, because a lot of things have changed with, regulation. This is a totally new ballgame with regulation, institutions, banks, governments, all getting into crypto now and DeFi and building out. We're in a whole new world. We might not see the type of pullback that we've seen in the past. It might be just like go parabolic, flatten out and flatten out for 2 or 3 years, small pullback, or it might just go flat, or it might just slowly trickle up. We don't know. We're in uncharted territory. The past 3 cycles, it was all speculation. It was just people like me and you. It was all retail that was just buying and hoping that this technology was going to be adopted, that people were going to build on it. It was all speculation. It's not speculation anymore. With the passage of these bills and the passage of legislation in other countries, crypto is here to stay. Now, it's only a matter of which projects are going to stick around and have staying power. Now, it's finding the Googles and the Microsofts and the Amazons. Now is that time. So don't invest off of hopium or the promise of huge pumps. Don't invest off of social media posts. You are going to get wrecked. Do your research. We here on this channel, we try to be a channel of integrity. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Anybody that's been watching me for any length of time knows if I'm wrong, I'll fess up to it. If I make a mistake, I'll fess up to it. We do not make any money on this channel. I love to stress this every episode, and it's not to brag. It's to let you know where I'm coming from and where Jeff is coming from. We do this 100% out of love of the game, and we understand how hard it is to learn some of this stuff on your own. It took us years to get where we're at. We want to help you cut through all of that and just get straight to the profits. We don't get paid by our brother channels. We don't have sponsors. We don't ask for super chats. We don't ask for memberships. We don't ask for anything. We don't sell a program like most. We offer everything for free. Our Discord is free. Our tracking sheet, free. The DeFi Academy on our YouTube channel, free. Everything here is free. If I own a project and we do a deep dive, I let you know that so that you know where I'm coming from. It's, not that it's going to change how I present it, but I want you to know if I have a financial interest in that project. There is way too many people in crypto, and I'm not going to name names. I don't want to disparage anybody. But if you've been in crypto for more than a day, there's plenty of people out there shilling their bags. There's plenty of people that, depending on the narrative, they're going to tell you what you want to hear to get your views. I don't care. I don't care how many members we have. I don't care how many subscribers we have. I would rather have a small group of people, good people that are here for the right reasons and that are learning and and profiting. Again, I don't make money. If we have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 subscribers, it doesn't change a thing for us. That's the beauty of not getting paid, is we can go to sleep at night knowing that we're giving you good quality information based off of facts and logic and data. So enough of that soapbox. What else we got? All right. Could I get a quick rundown of how does the arrow lock work and how the airdrop of arrow works? Just started to look into DeFi. Absolutely, brother. I'm more than happy to do that for you. Let's go to Aerodrome. And just so you know, if for whatever reason you need a recap on this, go to our channel. So go to our channel, scroll down, and in the DeFi Academy, you can go over here and you can see Aerodrome tutorial, Aerodrome Finance Explained. It's episode 5. You can watch that, and it goes through everything to do with Aero. It goes through what is the Aero token, how does it play into base chain and Coinbase. It goes over how to use the platform, the Aerodrome Finance platform, how to enter and exit positions, full range and range positions. How to get how to do locks. It will explain how the flight school is the airdrop or the bonus that you get for doing a lock. It gets into all of those details. I'm going to go over it for you, but if for some reason you need a recap, that's where to find it. If you haven't, go through the DeFi Academy. I go through everything you need to know to get you started in DeFi. And again, 100% for free. You don't have to pay anything. All I ask is an occasional, thank you, or maybe let me know in the Discord or on socials that that you're making money, that something that I did helped you in some way. That's all. That's all the thanks I need. So anyway, here we go. Here's Aerodrome. So as you can see, let me connect my wallet so you can see my locks. As always, I'm fully transparent. All right, so I'm connected. Now, you can go to liquidity, and this is where you're going to find all the pools. Of course, you have your swap, and the way the Aerodrome platform works, the way that you're earning fees is in this case, if I swap ETH for Aero, what's allowing that swap to happen is the pool that's on Aerodrome, the ETH Aero pool. So anytime you're switching from ETH to Aero or from Aero to ETH, you are using that liquidity that people have deposited. You're going to pay a small fee, very, very small. On base, it's very small. But that small fee builds up because of all the people swapping. So that's the yield that you're earning. Those fees are the yield that you're earning. So the liquidity pools are here. USDC Aero, Wrapped ETH USDC, all of these. Anybody that's swapping between these assets. And you can see this is the amount of fees that in the past 7 days, what's been generated. Here's your APR. Wrapped ETH USDC, potentially. Aerodrome's terrible at this. They always give these big APRs, but then when you go in, it's like, supposedly you can make 5,277% APR, but then you click in there and still really good, but $879 or 879% APR. But that's on a 3% or a 6% total, 3% positive, 3% negative range. So I won't get into that because it sounds like you were more interested in the locks. Now, I'm going to preface the locks. I'm going to preface this with, I want to make sure that you understand what the lock is, because once you do this, there is no unlock. You can sell the NFT for a loss if you need the money to somebody like me on OpenSea, but you're going to take a loss on it. So ensure you understand this before you do it. So to get the airdrop, and actually, you know what? Let me pull it up because it's a really good graphic. So here is all the details. You know what? I'll drop it in the chat real quick. So there's the link to this that I'm about to show you. Everybody can bookmark it out there if you want. So this is the Aerodrome VE Aero Rewards Program, also known as the Flight School Bonus. 10% of the initial distribution of VE Arrow is dedicated to returning value to those who contribute the most to the Aerodrome flywheel. Every 4 weeks, the revenue from this VE NFT will be distributed. So the 10% of fees on the entire platform that are generated goes to this airdrop. The dashboard estimates the current payout for protocols and individuals who lock VE Arrow or lock Arrow for VE Arrow. VE Arrow is the voting token. So once you lock it, you get VE Arrow. VE Arrow is your voting power for that you use to vote, and for voting, you earn yield. I'll get into that here in a second. So, Flight School Dash will be updated 2 weeks after the conclusion of the flight, once the 2-week epochs of the new flight's compounds are in. The amount of flight rewards distributed increases as more Arrow is compounded each epoch. So, as you can see on this picture over here, to qualify for the airdrop, you have to do the following. You have to lock 2,500 Arrow or more. If you lock less than 2,500 Arrow, you will not get the flight school bonus. That's important to understand. Every 4 weeks, bonus VE Arrow will be distributed pro rata to all users and protocols with new locks. You don't get this over and over. This is a one-time deal. And increased locks of 2,500 VE Arrow or more in a single NFT. So say you deposit 2,000 VE Arrow or Arrow and get 2,000 and for 4 years, you'll get 2,000 VE Arrow. But then you're like, oh shit, that's less than 2,500. I want to get the flight school bonus. Before the flight school ends, and it's usually a month long, before this flight school ends, you have to increase it to 2,500 or more. Once that flight school ends, you have to do a totally new lock. You'll have to do another 2,500 or more lock to get the flight school bonus. So I highly suggest, if you want to get the flight school bonus, just build up your Arrow until you have 2,500 Arrow or more before you do this. Hope that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. Now, you can boost the flight school bonus you get. Whenever you lock your 2,500 or more, you can deposit it in the VE Arrow Maxi Relay. And I'll show you what that is. So right here, you can see the VE Arrow Maxi Relay. Relays, VE Arrow Maxi. Not the Moonwell VE Arrow, not the Reserve VE Arrow, none of these. It has to be this top one, the VE Arrow Maxi. You deposit your lock. So once you lock your 2,500, it will be up here. Once you deposit that lock into this VE Arrow Maxi Relay, and you have to do this, like as soon as you do the lock, you need to do this, if this is what you want to do. But understand, and it will give you a warning, if you locked for 4 years or less than 4 years, it's going to relock it for 4 years. And while it is in that VE Arrow Maxi Relay, the unlock clock of 4 years is not going to count down. So this is what I suggest. This is what I did on for my main deposit. Is I deposited into the VE Arrow Maxi Relay so I could get this 1.25x boost. I deposited 5,100 Arrow. And because for 4 years, I got 5,100 VE Arrow. If I would have only done it for 2 years, I only would have gotten, 2,550. Because that's half. So to get the max amount, 100%, one for one, you have to do 4 years. Now, I got a little bit more because I put it in the VE Arrow Maxi Relay and got the 1.25x boost. So I got 1,600 for the flight school bonus. Now, after that, I withdrew my initial deposit, and you can see that here. Here is my initial lock that I have, that I now have 6,771 arrow. So I've made about 16, almost 1,700 free arrow since I deposited, but I pulled that out of the VE Aero Maxi Relay. But my free flight school bonus, I left in there. So I'm going to let that just grow and grow and grow for the next 4 years. And then I'll probably pull it out. But again, the countdown clock on this is locked to 4 years. It doesn't start counting down until I pull it out. But once I pull it out, the weekly earnings, I can cash out. So I'm going to let this build over the next 3-4 years. Then I'm going to pull it out, because by that time, I'm going to have 20, 30, 40,000, VE Aero in there. And so I might be earning, if the price of Aero, goes through the roof to $10, $20, $30, I might be able to make, a couple $1,000s a month off of my weekly earnings, or at least a couple hundred, and that I can cash out for that residual income. Again, DeFi is a residual income play for me. The only reason I'm pulling out of DeFi right now, in some of my positions, is because I want to get max price appreciation, because I want to hit that $500,000 mark that I told you about. I want to make sure that I get to that point, because I want to make sure that worst case scenario, I can make 10 to 15% on that and make that $75K a year I was talking about. Because to me, that's awesome. I can improve my property. I can buy a boat. I can, whatever the hell I want to do with it, invest it in real estate, whatever. So I guess what I'm getting at with all this rambling is it really matters what you're trying to accomplish if you should get out of your DeFi positions. All of them, part of them, none of them. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. All right. So I hope that answers your question about the locks. Let's see. So just to make this clear, I can earn Mamo on staking Mamo. Yes, 100%. My Mamo that's sitting here, it's only been there for a couple of days. And you can see that, I have 17,344. I've earned 35 Mamo in the past couple of days, about $5 at current value. As Mamo pumps, that 35, could end up being worth a couple $100. In that case, I made $50 a day because I'm not selling it. I'm just letting it compound in. Again, Mamo is number 3,294 by market cap. And this is a project that is part of the new Coinbase app. This is an AI play that is going to be for normies that don't know how to use wallets, that they don't know anything about crypto, but they want to invest. And if they see that they can earn 8% on their stable coins without having to use a wallet and doing transfers and connecting and doing all the complicated tasks it takes right now to get into DeFi, what do you think they're going to do? And they have an AI that optimizes and tracks their their deposits for them. It's a no-brainer for me. I see Mamo easily 10-20xing, personally, in my opinion. Again, not financial advice. So yes. Ricky, very good question. How safe is it to have your money on Mamo? And I'm going to answer that, and you're going to like the answer. So Mamo does not custody your assets. My assets are still in my wallet. All they're doing is I gave them permission to move them around, the AI permission to move them around on Moonwell and on Morpho. So I can go to Moonwell. Let's go there. And you can still access. So if the Mamo platform goes down, my assets are sitting on, and actually, yeah, check this out. This is the Moonwell site. Let's get this out of the way. Get started on Moonwell. Meet Mamo. Mamo grows your money on Moonwell through smart, automated strategies that quietly compound. You stay in control. Mamo does the work. And I can connect my wallet. And let's go to my portfolio. And you can see, there's my Mamo. It's on Moonwell. It's not on the Mamo site. So, I mean, it's not custodying it. The $32 that I have on Mamo, there it is. The dust of Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, there it is. All of my assets are right there. So it's perfectly safe. I mean, well, not perfectly. I mean, Moonwell, it's sitting here on Moonwell, but it's not on the Mamo site. Like, again, by putting it on the Mamo site, you're just giving it permission to move it around to different vaults here on Moonwell. So all it's doing is just making sure that you're earning the most money possible at any given time, 24/7, 365. That's the beauty of this of Mamo and why I'm so bullish on it. All right, what else we got? How about Morpho? That would, let's check market cap of. Let's do, say it reached the market cap of Morpho. That's a 15x. That's a $2 Mamo. Not bad. I like all your questions, Mikolas. I appreciate you, brother. Oh, my boy. What up, Jeff? The BCR 142. Those that don't know, that's the blockchain report. He's the airdrop specialist. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have gotten, and actually I'll cover that in case any of you didn't get that. So for holding VE Arrow, for having my locks, I got like $80 of free Mamo, and I got like $610. Actually, it's worth more now, of Black, the Black Hole, the new AVAX DEX. I got a free airdrop of both of those for doing nothing but having my arrow locks. That's all I did. And I got those airdrops. And I wouldn't have got those, and I wouldn't be in Plume if it wasn't for Jeff. Again, he's the one that's finding, all these deep dives that we do, DeFi, the portal DeFi on Bitcoin. That one was one that he found. Mamo, Giza, is another AI that we just did. OP, all of these space and time, all these deep dives we do, a lot of them are ones that he's farming. And so we're getting you, but a lot of times before their main nets go live, we're, telling you and educating you about these and how to get free tokens that you don't even have to buy. You just get them for free. And then when they launch, you get free tokens that you can either sell, that you can, start building bags with. You can use them in DeFi, like I did with Mamo, and start earning free, free crypto. We have the perfect freaking meld going on between airdrops and DeFi to where both of them make you free crypto. We've started a couple of months ago. He started farming airdrops. And basically, as we start getting those airdrops, I'm going to start DeFiing them. We're not injecting any of our own money. it's going to be a portfolio 100% built, sourced free crypto from airdrops, and then DeFi'd that free crypto, DeFi it, and earn free yield off of it. We're going to see how we can grow it. And at the end of this cycle, we're going to do a giveaway. A portion of it, we're going to do, some sort of contest and give it away, give away a portion of it to some of you out there that, have been watching us and supporting us. So I need to bring that up more. Appreciate you, brother. Freaking always looking out and reposting the stream. Please like and share this. That's all we ask for, for all this work that we put into this. All we ask is that you like, share, and follow. I have 12K in stacks. Maybe put half of that in Mamo. Ricky, I'm always very reluctant. I don't want to tell people what to invest in. I'll give you the information so that you can make an educated decision or an educated choice. It's never a bad idea to diversify. Absolutely. My understanding on stacks is it's a great project. I would definitely keep a bag of it, but it's never a bad idea to take, profits, especially in DeFi, take some of the profits, from all your different pools. I do it all the time. Any profits that you have as you peel those off and start buying into some, new exciting projects, like Mamo, just because there's so much upside potential for it. And with everything that's going on with it fundamentally, as far as price appreciation potential. So absolutely, there's nothing wrong with that. Even if it's a couple $100, and, a couple $100, if it 30Xs, $100, 30X, that's $3,000, off $100. Rico, awesome question. Loving these questions. Appreciate all of you. How does the Genius Act affect DeFi? The basis of DeFi is stablecoins. The basis of a lot of things that have to do with crypto is stablecoins. So without stablecoins, DeFi doesn't work. And without regulation for stablecoins, institutions, banks, and Coinbase, aren't legally allowed to participate in DeFi. So huge for DeFi. I believe there was even part of the bill that Drew over on Blockchain Basement went over today that specifically cited DeFi. Off the top of my head, I can't think of what it was. Have you entered any positions on Black yet? Great question, Primo. I'll show you what I did with my entire holdings. Black hole will suck you in. All right. Let me connect my wallet. All right. So my locks. This is what I did with all 610 of my black tokens is I put them in the super massive VENFT, which basically permanently burns them. It permalocks them. But supposedly for that, they're going to be giving us a bunch of rewards. I rolled the dice because it was free money. It's 610 black of free money that I didn't know I was going to get. Fuck it. Because again, I'm long-term bullish on a lot of these projects. Not necessarily black hole. It's new. It's on AVAX. I like that. It seems like they're doing all the right things. It's built on the VE33 architecture. So same thing as Aerodrome. This platform works the same way as Velodrome and Aerodrome. Where they have the locks and you can earn and they incentivize and you vote and all of that. That's the VE, 3-3. VE is the voting. So basically, I'm supposed to, every week I get rewarded having this permalocked, and I get a bonus or a boost since I permalocked it. So we'll see what happens, and I'll report back. But that's my only black position right now. As I start earning and I build up a bag of it, I'll probably open some liquidity positions on it. You can come here. There's some awesome APRs right now. I mean, just massive APRs right now that I would love to take advantage of. Really good volumes. 41 million. Right here on this wrapped AVAX USDC. Actually, I might take. So say I might think about taking some of my AVAX that I have in my HODL bag and put it in this one to see how it earns, because this one's earning 20,000 in fees. I'll hold off. But yeah, some really good, and black is pumping. So black token right now is up 72% on the day, 82% since its launch. But just, yeah, black is doing really well. You can see, the 610 black that I got is worth almost $1,000 now. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Smart move. Time will tell. Time will tell. We'll see. And that is the question, Ricky. But the question is, how safe is it to have your money in DeFi pools? It's, while the markets are pumping, pretty safe. When it starts to get risky is when the markets turn around. When the markets turn around and everything starts dumping and everyone starts yanking their liquidity out of these DeFi, these dexes, then you have the potential for liquidity issues. The TVL, if you're in a pool, say that you put $100,000 and there was $1 million of TVL and $100,000 of that is yours. Everybody else took theirs out, and you and a couple other, and maybe $50,000 worth of other people's liquidities in there, and you try to pull that $100,000 out, you might not be able to pull the full $100,000 out due to slippage. So you need to understand how these things work. That's why I stick to certain platforms. For the most part, the only platforms that I use, and again, the only platforms I use is I'll come here and I'll look at TVL. So Aave, number one for total value locked, 54, almost $55 billion in Aave. I have no issue using Aave. They are a beast. I'm not worried about them going under. Lido, haven't used it, but it looks like Ethereum, Solana, Moonbeam, Moon River, and Terra Classic are the chains that you can use on that one. Probably won't be using it. Probably. I just haven't used it. Binance staked. Morpho. Fucking Morpho. 8 billion. This is the one that is doing the Bitcoin backed loans for Coinbase. Morpho is a beast. It's been pumping lately and it's not done. So Morpho, another one, that Mamo uses. Glad to be a part of it. Uniswap, another great platform, 5 billion on there. What else? Pancake Swap is down here. Yeah. So, I stick to platforms that have high TVL and high volumes just because the more people that are using it, and the more value that's there, the less likely it is that it's going to go under. Again, with what I plan to do when the markets turn around and we potentially are about to go into a bear market, I'm going to be in stables. And most of the places I'm going to be putting my stables are going to be a lot lower risk. So, me personally, I'm not worried about it. I understand how this stuff works. Is there risk involved? Absolutely. It's that is why we're earning the yields and stuff that we are right now, is because more risk, more reward. So, but excellent question, Ricky. Excellent question. Yeah, these are all great platforms. Absolutely. I'll have to rewatch this after the upload later. How long have I been going, man? I've been talking for freaking ever. Hour and a half. All right. Yeah, well, I'll keep going. I'll keep going as long as I got good info to put out. Um, Joseph. All right. Sorry, drinking my post workout shake. I'm an old man. I need extra protein and stuff, or I'm gonna lose muscle mass. All right, vet. Does that mean we need to be in a flight school session when we lock our arrow? No, you don't have to do anything. Once you lock the 2,500 arrow or more, you are automatically entered. There's nothing you have to do. At some point, the flight school bonus will just show up. I freaked out when I first saw it. You can ask Jeff, my co-host. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know about the flight school bonuses when I first started DeFi. So I locked my arrow, and a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden there was this free 1,600 arrow, and or 2,600. Sorry. Um, and I'm like, where did this come from? And I had heard about malicious smart contracts, and I'd seen in my wallet where these NFTs would show up, and it's like scan this, and click on this, and you get we have $50,000 for you, and knew that those were scams. And I was like, all right, so this is in my wallet. It's showing up on Aerodrome. If I click on it, is it going to like drain my wallet or something? If I, try to put it in the VE Aero Maxi Relay and interact with it, is it, malicious? And so I started my deep dive. I started looking and researching. And Jeff did some research and found out that that it came from the Genesis wallet for Aerodrome. And so then I knew it was legit. At least it wasn't anything malicious. And so I kept digging, and that's when I found out about flight school. And so, yeah, so basically, it just shows up in your wallet. Nothing you have to do. It's just for locking and supporting the platform. They reward you with the flight school bonus. So let's see what else we got. Yes, I left the bonus in the relay. The reason I did again is it's auto voting. It's auto voting for me, and it's when it auto compounds each week, it's nothing but pure arrow. When I manually vote, depending on what I vote for, that's the tokens I get. So like I got some redstone the a couple weeks ago. This last one I got some USDC on both of them, but this last one I got something called Rise, RIZE. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, this. So it's at 869 by market cap. So I got like 600 of these tokens or something like that. So T-Rise is an institutional grade tokenization platform designed for the compliant tokenization and distribution of real world assets. It allows asset owners to tokenize projects and enables investors to access fractional ownership with on-chain lifecycle management. The platform integrates with regulated distributors for compliant primary and secondary market access. It is further enhanced by a privacy preserving decentralized machine learning infrastructure that accelerates due diligence, risk assessment, and valuation of tokenized assets. So it might not do anything, it might go somewhere, but I'm just going to hold on to it because each week when I vote, so, here, this one I have to manually vote. My, VE Arrow Maxi Relay down here, lock, that one auto votes and just compounds more arrows. So I'll just be building nothing but arrow down here. But up here, you go to the vote tab, and we usually do this on Wednesday mornings at the end of the epoch, the weekly epoch, and you can look. See, so like right now, supposedly, if I vote for this one, I mean, it's only Friday, whatever this R1 USDC, supposedly it's 9,000%. So if I selected this and I go to vote, say it was Wednesday morning right now, and say that I put 100% of my vote there, I would earn $727 for that week. I guarantee you it's not going to be that high come Wednesday morning. So if I voted right now, I would be waiting for $727 of tokens of USD, an equal amount of USDC and R1 to show up in my wallet. I guarantee it's not going to be this on Wednesday morning. So what we all do in our community is we wait till Wednesday morning so we get a realistic view. This one might be one of the worst APRs because everybody voting for it thinking they're going to get 735% or $735. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait. And when the time comes, I'll vote for whichever one has the highest rewards. And I'm also looking at, is it a good project? Is this something that I want to start building a bag of, like Rise, like Redstone? So I don't always, on my manual vote, go with the highest APR or, the highest, rewards. Sometimes I'll go for lesser rewards to get a, if it's a small amount monetarily, because I can always sell whatever it is and buy that project. But I just like building bags of stuff because, like fucking Black, I got a free airdrop of 610, and within the past couple of days, I have almost $1,000 now because of how fast it's pumping. That Rise token, it could 10, 20, 30x. And yeah, it's only, 600 tokens, but if they end up being worth, $1 a piece or $2 a piece, that's $600 or $1,200. I'll sell them then. That's a nice little, free, it's almost like an airdrop. It's almost like a free airdrop. So I'm building a bunch of, small bags. Some of them might hit, some of them might not. Whatever, it's free money. So again, all right. The initial lock that was deposited to relay then starts counting down the 4-year lock. As long as it is sitting in the relay, it's not counting down. Think of it as a countdown clock with 4 years on it. If it's sitting, here, I'll go to it. If it's sitting down here in the VE Arrow Maxi Relay, if it's deposited in here, imagine a giant 4-year clock frozen right there. Fucking big as day. It's not moving. It's not counting down. You're earning arrow every week. You're getting more arrow. You're building your bag, but it's locked at 4 years. As soon as you withdraw the lock and start voting on it manually, that clock starts ticking down. If I hover over it where it says locked for 4 years, if I hover over it, Wednesday, May 23rd of 2029, that lock unlocks, the one I've been voting manually on, because May 23rd, this last May, is when I removed it from the relay. So it started counting down then, because I put this lock in here like last year, the end of last year, when I first did it. I didn't know that while it was in here, that it wasn't counting down. Again, it's impossible to know everything about all these platforms. I'm always learning as well. That's why I count on a lot of you out there to, as you're learning, to join the Discord. And here, because I rely so much on all of you, thousands of eyes are better than just mine. And I got old eyes. Let's see. Let's make it so it never expires. All right. So I'm going to drop it in the chat. This is the Discord link for the DeFi crypto and airdrops Discord. And then here's the DIG. So if you're interested in learning about trading, with Drew and Kelly and Josh, they're always sharing, their entry and exit points and stop losses and all that stuff. I'm going to give you that one too. Let's make sure that never expires. All right. So here's the DIG. I highly suggest that you join both. Good people in both of them. All right. What else we got? Yes. Yes, Jeff, teamwork makes the dream work. All right. Doesn't look like I got any more questions. Let me see if there's anything else I can go over before I go. Got a couple of hundred people watching live. Please, like, share, and follow. Again, that's all I ask. Just trying to grow the channel and educate more people. Again, we're not monetized in any way. I'm not asking you to follow and stuff because it makes us more money. I'm asking you to follow so that more people can see this channel and find a good, honest place to learn from that isn't shilling, that isn't, trying to pump their bags, that, isn't trying to take advantage of people. So there's a lot of that out there. And we're really good at helping people avoid, connecting their wallet to malicious sites and, all that sort of thing. So, all right. Oh yeah. Check this out. So like right now, Joshua Jake is in the live trading room and doing a live trade. So he's in a lot of times he's doing a challenge. It's like $1,000 to a Porsche. So I want to say he started about a week or two ago, and he's already at like 7 or 8 grand. That he's changed 1,000 into like 7 or 8 grand, and he's doing it all live. He's showing exactly when he enters the position, at what price. He's showing where he's setting his stop losses. He's sharing, why it is he's getting in and why it is he's getting out and where he's taking profits. He does it all live. You can copy trade. You can follow along with him. Not saying you're going to win every time. He doesn't win every time, but he wins more than he loses. And that's how you do it in trading. I'm not a trader. I don't enjoy it. You can make fast money. I tried it. I wasn't good at it. I should probably start copy trading him with a little bit to see what I can do. But I'm so engrossed in DeFi that it takes up all my time. Let's see. What do we got going on in here? Watch out for the dip. See, here's Kelly Kellum. Watch out for the dip. Last monumental news saw a dip, then massive rip. Buy dips here. So he's giving you the entries. So the ETFs, it dipped, they bought, and there was a pump. So they're given all of their, entries and exits and, all that stuff. Give that a little salute. I'm probably gonna go jump in the live with Josh and see what's up. But if there's no more questions, hey, what up, Dank Crypto Sweats? We're just wrapping up, man. You're gonna have to watch the recording. Let's see. Let's see what the markets are doing real quick. Are we pumping? Are we dumping? Or are we going sideways? Well, we got a little bounce and hopefully it continues. DAG is up 5% on the hour. Fucking black hole, man. Up to $1.32. Man. Yeah, I think that's all I got for you. Man, almost 2 hours of talking. Holy shit. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all. Again, please, like, share, and follow YouTube at DeFi Crypto Airdrop. On X, I'm veteran, the number 4 crypto. And then you got Jeff at the BRC 142. And until next time, appreciate y'all. Veteran Crypto out.